Views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm your host and moderator. I'm Farhan, aka WDC. I want to thank you for tuning and listening today to the Sports Collective TV. As you know, we have a very spectacular show for you every week right here on Morris Media Productions. And today is April 30th.
Right.
And I got a special guest here, and we're going to talk about one of my aspects of sports is very important is that mental aspect, where how, you know, I use my own experience as a veteran and how you lose your identity in that career, and then you play this sport or you do this job, and then life happens, but you never get a chance to like take care of that, you know, that family member that you lost or that breakup or whatever, because you have to play, like you got to play that game. And so when do you get a chance to deal with that? And so I like to talk about that, because what if you dealt with that in the moment, right? And then when that identity is broken from that sport, you're not trying to hurt yourself. You know, you can create another life. So to me, that mental aspect with sports, taking care of your parents or even a loved one, you know, to me, that's important. And so we got that subject today because Lupus Awareness Month is coming up tomorrow, May 1st. And so I'm an advocate for lupus as well. I know you hear my sickle cell commercials, but I'm an advocate for humanity. I claim that. And so I share my platform with other causes. And so Lupus Awareness is May. And so Alma is here with her son, Matthew. She manages lupus. He plays soccer. So what a perfect episode to describe what this looks like in reality. So I'm going to pass the ball to the right.
I stole it.
Oh, wow.
Give us a call, 323-293-3375. Here, you want the ball back?
You got to be ready for that full court press.
He wasn't ready.
I'm dribbling now, baby. You got to get open.
He's a veteran, but he's still got the moves.
You got to get open. You got to get open. I'm LeBron James. Oh, you fouled me. Oh,
you need to box him out at all times, right?
You fouled me. Oh, I'm LeBron James.
Why are you hating on LeBron?
Because it's necessary.
It's not necessary. It's
totally like when you're a Golden State fan, it's necessary. It's
Golden
necessary.
State. I mean, you talk about, ow, that's Stephen Curry, ow, my ankle, ow.
But you got to be amazed at Harden, though. You got to be amazed.
Oh, Harden. Yeah. I think it's a new day. I think your team is done up there. Yeah. In Northern Cal, I think your team is done over there.
We didn't even get into
Cleveland. Can we just talk about the Lakers? I'm a Laker fan.
Oh, well, but you like LeBron.
We didn't even get into the dance.
It's
a new day.
You're talking about some Lakers right now.
It's a new day.
Only thing you can talk about is Paul right now over there in Houston. Go over there eating some new fried chicken because that boy over there with
they're cooking
41 points.
I mean,
that's my pick.
And on top of that, this weekend I was just thinking about, for example, Russell Westbrook.
Stop! That was the end of the West. We are moved on.
No, wait,
because ain't no more West.
Philly. What do you got to say about Westbrook?
I'm gonna get this in because you look at Russell Westbrook, right?
Okay.
And they put these superstars around him. He got put out by the Jazz.
Didn't work.
You know, and you look at all the stars that left. Harden. Now at Houston, killing it.
Are we having sad stories about people that ain't gonna make it? Let's talk about the other folk that gonna make it. Philly all day.
That was your call last week.
Philly, come on now. They put the peanut butter jelly sandwich.
So attractive,
Philly?
Yeah, Philly. That's a sexy pick right now, Philly. And then when they get put out, he's gonna be like, man, they were rookies. You know, I'm just giving you this is not a spoiler.
By Boston.
I'm glad sports is not like gambling.
Where's the alarm at? Where's the alarm? I need the bell.
So stay tuned. 323-293-3375 for alarm. I don't know. What y'all gonna be, man? Are y'all gonna be separate?
Gonna be what?
What y'all gonna be? What's your segment? What's
they on deck with me.
They on the deck with you?
Oh yeah, we get it in. We got some soccer.
When y'all gonna be
like
airing
going right
that?
over your head, man.
We going? Y'all soccering up? All right, what we
Hold on,
talking
what's this
about?
soccer talk? It's football. Come on.
Oh, it's the real football.
We say we're gonna confuse.
You actually use your feet.
We're gonna confuse him with that, and he's gonna
confuse me. I played in the Simpson Soccer League, brother.
Simpson Soccer League
Simpson on TV.
On
TV.
That was back in the days when they was trying to teach everybody in Park and Rec.
Have you heard of that league
soccer?
before?
Simpson.
Where's
But
that?
You might want to Google it.
I do know they used to like force every kid to play soccer. So like everybody and their mom
Every
had
kid
soccer
had to
experience
play
because,
soccer,
like,
man.
in third grade they were part of an intramural soccer team.
I played soccer until I had an ingrown toenail, and then I was done.
I'm sure he was a striker too, and he scored a bunch of goals.
I was actually a left forward, actually. If you
Of course, a forward. Of course, a forward. Yeah,
I was a left forward. I had wheels, homie. So I had wheels on the kick.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but
In the Simpson League.
I couldn't handle that goalie though. That wasn't me.
For goalie, what, you
do
couldn't
that.
handle someone stopping you from making a goal?
No, I'm saying the goalie. I didn't say making.
Hold
the
on,
goal.
20-second timeout. What topics you guys bring in for the soccer for the football today, so people can stay tuned?
Well, I mean, we got a couple big ones. Like the biggest one for me being Real Madrid playing tomorrow in the Champions League.
Yes, sir.
Madrid.
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 Yeah. So, and then the other one, since here in LA, the LAFC soccer stadium being opened with a huge wing.
Regalito. That was a regalito for
So
sure.
just to be honest,
Here he goes.
Look, hey, to be
Googled it.
honest, because my dad is from Memphis, and you can see where it says right there.
Tennessee.
Memphis, soccer capital of the world.
Right.
Look, Memphis Soccer
That's where you go for
Association,
talent.
which was SIMSA, play and help start.
What year though?
Man, 1949. You know I'm old as cotton.
You just clown him about talking about some old basketball
That's how
players.
old the sport is. It goes way back.
That was like
For
the
real.
Soviet Union was still around back then, right?
I actually
Soviet
think.
Union.
Yeah.
That's a place, not a thing.
Right.
What
but
you
they
got?
was
And I was
still
gonna say
around back then.
that's so back. That's like when they actually made it to like what the semis.
That's pre-world. That's World War II.
All right. Call us, guys. 323-293.
It's football day.
3373.
Yes, thank you.
Just come and call and talk to the Cali Sportsman.
Right.
I'm going to let you know.
Have
Hey,
you
so
reminiscing
Football.
on
drafts.
Draft.
Do you know anything about these drafts?
The NFL draft, the Miller draft. What kind of draft?
Okay, well,
draft
you know,
beer?
there was a Miller draft at the NFL draft.
Sponsored, of course.
Yeah, okay. We just plugged somebody. Stop that.
I didn't do it.
All right,
set
check this
him
out.
up.
So, I'll come to you in a minute. So, do you need you know people, right? In
Of
the
course.
draft?
Do I know him personally?
No, you know what happened like with USC, UCLA, where they went.
Or like Mayfield going first?
In numbers and...
Yeah.
Okay, go. Tell me.
I just thought it was. They definitely looked into his character and the fact that he was like.
Who was he?
Mayfield.
Oh, okay. I just want to know who we talking
No,
about.
because like the
All right.
Browns, they were talking about. They were explaining their pick because that was definitely a curveball. I didn't expect it, especially the way all the analysts were talking about. But when you look at really just his character, who he is as a person and as a leader. But then again, it is the Browns, and they have picked a lot of quarterbacks in the first round.
That's what we were talking about last week.
Yeah,
They're always going after
He
the
walked.
QBs.
He walked on 2 times though. Like he went to college. He went to the first college and he didn't even have a guaranteed scholarship.
And walked on.
Walked on. Then he went to Oklahoma. Walked on to Oklahoma, and he's now the number 1 pick. It's the
You
only time
guys
it's ever
are
happened.
talented. Did you guys get that? That's like right off the cuff. They wasn't even ready for the question. You see what I'm saying? There's no paper here, y'all.
That's right.
You got to
iPad
give us a
here,
call.
but it's
323-293. We'll look something up on Google because they always want to challenge the Cali sports.
You just did it.
I challenged myself.
1945 football.
Samsa.
Yeah,
I
football.
went to the school.
And
Football.
Shaquem Griffin got picked by Seattle in the 3rd round. So
Oh,
shout
he's
out,
gonna be joining to his brother.
yeah, he's gonna be playing with his brother.
Hey, so you know, I was happening just having nothing to do.
was just happening.
Just happening.
Just
Polo.
One of those days.
You guys know anything about polo? You gonna know about these 2 guys that played each other, that are world famous.
he watches
national-
the sports every morning.
Polo?
Don't fall for that.
Do you watch polo? You watch
Don't
polo?
fall for that.
Wait, is that the
I
sport?
was just
Water-
because
water
Kentucky
polo?
Derby
Like
is
the one
like
with
right
the-
around the
the one with
corner.
the
That
horse.
is a sport.
He wake up watching.
That's called
sports in the morning.
equestrian. You know what I'm saying?
I know
That is a
equestrian.
sport. Okay,
Damn.
I'm just keeping it real.
He's quizzing us
I could
today.
go
Right.
across the board. I just wanted to see how
So
much
what
board
happened
I'm
in the
playing
world of
with.
polo today?
You don't you know. Hey,
He-
we just gonna keep it on the shirt.
Right.
Keep it on the shirt.
It's too much.
You know,
He doesn't
okay.
want to overwhelm us with
too
the
many
highlights.
about sailing,
It's
though?
two
You know about
Italian
sailing,
young
though?
men that's millionaires that play polo that basically the 2 top players in the country. They had a national tournament where Now they used to play against each other. Now they play on the same team.
Oh.
So, and the fact that they get hit with that ball in their face, and I mean, you might miss some teeth. It's just
and you got
it's an
horses.
interesting sport.
It's a rough sport.
And you look at the fact of how they transition the ponies. They call them ponies. All right,
Like a Ford.
Call them ponies.
The Stangs. The
So
Stangs.
they like, okay, I'm gonna run this
That's how
one
much
for
I like
so
Fords.
many minutes, and then
That's so disrespectful to
I'm
the
gonna jump
horses.
off that pony,
Call
and
them
I'm gonna put
ponies.
another pony. Well, anyway, that's why they call me the Cali sportsman, because I
Okay,
stay.
so he
with
stays
everything.
with everything. All right, so we're going to take our first break. I'm going to bring up our guests and get into this conversation, so don't go anywhere. Sports Collective TV, 323-293-3375. Sports Collective TV.
Did I say that?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh,
too,
man, that
bro.
shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org. All right, shout us out. What's the count? Again, if you want more information about sickle cell trait, go to wdconsct.org. That's what part of this show is brought to you by. That's my foundation for sickle cell trait awareness. Very important conversation for our student athletes. It's just more than just parenting and having children, but those student athletes are at risk as well. And so again, you know, this show, we share our platform with a lot of community outreach. It's not just sports, but we know how to tie sports into. It's a lifestyle, right? And so the power of social media, you got to know that it works. I met Alma literally on social media out in the lupus community. And I knew May was coming up for Lupus Awareness Month. So I'm like, okay, who's my guest for this year? So I always start looking for guests. And we've been communicating for about a month and a half or so.
Yeah, I believe about a month.
About a month, just getting her set for the show and make sure everything is straight and comfortable. And so do me a favor and introduce yourself to the listeners, and then we'll get started.
My name is Alma Hernandez. I have lupus. I've been officially diagnosed since 2012.
2012. And then your son?
Hi, I'm Matthew R.
All right. And so, so this segment was created because for me, mental health and family and those conversations that sometimes don't get had, and how she battles or she manages with her lupus, and her son plays sports. He plays soccer. The soccer mom kind of thing going on, but she also manages her health. And I'm sure there's some stressors on him, being an athlete, and wondering if his mom is safe and taken care of. So we're going to have a conversation first about her experiences with lupus, and then we're going to have her son Matthew talk about his experience, as a son and playing sports, and what that looks like for him on the other side. So tell me, Alma, when you were first diagnosed before you was diagnosed with lupus, what was life like? Like, what was your...
Before I was diagnosed with lupus, I was in and out of hospitals, constantly getting sent home, wasn't given anything, no pain medication, no extensive blood work. I was going to primary care physicians. They were saying that they couldn't find anything except my blood count was low. That was it.
Your blood count was low. And that was like a couple of years before? Or
Yeah. It went on for a couple of years. I had one blood transfusion, and when I was diagnosed, I went into, she was a nurse practitioner. Mm-hmm. And she decided to do some extensive blood work because I had been in and out hospitals in Vegas for the last 2 months. I was in and out a couple of times.
Okay. So you finally find out this diagnosis that, they write up as lupus. What's the first thing going through your...
The first thing that went through my mind was, I need to Google this and see what this is.
Yeah.
After I Googled it, the first thing that came to mind is, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And the only thing that could come to mind was my kids.
Yeah.
Because my kids were still really, really young, and I'm a single mother, so I've had to raise my kids on my own. So the first thing was, what am I going to do with my kids? The first thing I thought was, I need to write a will or something.
Yeah, right.
Like, who are my kids going to stay with?
Right. And so, how did you, what were actions that you took? Did you talk to your family? What were those steps that you had?
At the time I was in a relationship, I did talk to my partner about it. Nobody can find the words to actually console me and make me feel any better about the situation. And I didn't know anybody who had lupus.
Yeah.
So I had to find my ways to deal with it. At the time, I could barely walk. They wanted me to undergo a second blood transfusion because my blood was that low.
Yeah.
I started looking for resources on Facebook, trying to find people that I could reach out to ask questions other than Google.
Right. And Google sometimes it has its goods and bad sides to it, right?
Yeah,
sometimes you look up something,
you think
this hurts.
Word,
right. It's like you said.
I understand where she's coming from, where she says the first thing that thought was just going to die. Because you don't even look at the success rate or the survival. You just immediately go to the worst case scenario. I mean, I do it for an itch that I have, some symptom.
Right.
Oh my God! Did I eat something? So I can't imagine what it must have been like for when you get the diagnosis and you actually have to look something up. And yeah, it's totally understandable.
Yeah, definitely. And so when you talk about lupus, ladies and gentlemen, it's an autoimmune disease. Just imagine, how I describe it is you have bodyguards protecting you, and then all of a sudden your bodyguards just attack you, right? And so literally it's your white cells. They can't tell the difference between the virus or bacteria, and it also starts to attack your organs, your tissue cells. It attacks your body completely. So what were your symptoms? As far as, besides the low blood, was there anything else besides the low blood?
I constantly suffered of body aches. I suffered a lot of migraines. I developed a skin condition, and they kept diagnosing it for a skin fungus. Or they diagnosed it for vitiligo. And there was just different multiple diagnoses, and nothing was really making any sense because there was still no type of remedy for everything that I had going on.
Right. And so they say, in lupus, because there's no real actual test, they put a lot of tests together to come up with these diagnoses. But they say the triggers are usually environment, genetics, or hormonal. So
stress is key.
Stress, right?
Stress
so I know, right? So
yeah.
When you look back now, can you look back man, I had some stress going on back then? Or
I can honestly say I had some stress going on back then. I honestly, to be completely honest with you guys, I had to choose between saving my relationship or saving my health.
Yeah.
And it was saving my health for my kids.
So definitely stress, because again, what stress does to the body, it kills. Your immune system is the first target, literally, in stress. So again, with lupus, they say about 1.5 million people in the United States live with lupus, about 5 million worldwide. 90% women, but I've interviewed men with lupus as well, so men are not exempt from lupus. They say about 200,000 cases of lupus per year as well. So. And a lot of times people are not aware that lupus affects a lot of African American and Hispanic culture.
The majority are African American and Hispanic, because I also did my homework on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get this diagnosis, life happens. What's your next step?
For the first 2 years, I can say I fell into deep depression. I was letting it eat me up inside. I was just letting the diagnosis itself eat me. I was portrayed as the negative Nancy for a while.
Yeah.
Because all I could have was negative thoughts. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
That's all I could think was, I'm going to die. It came to a point where I realized that stress and my negative energy were not helping my diagnosis. My unhealthy eating habits, my unhealthy living was not helping my diagnosis.
So you had to change everything, right?
I had to change everything, clean out.
Clean out. And how did that impact, not just you, but your family? I mean, you have your son, you have your children. So how did that impact your...
I think my biggest support and my biggest strength has been my kids.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes, because even though we're diagnosed, our family doesn't understand. Our family, I still feel like my family doesn't understand. I feel like my kids, they're younger and they understand better than anybody else what I went through, what I go through, and what lupus really is.
Matthew, what do you want to say about that? Looking back, a couple of years back, like when your mom came up with this conversation to you.
Yeah, it kind of like it made me sad a little bit, like to hear that.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it's just like I didn't really try to let it bring me down.
Did you do your research as well, or did you?
Nah,
you're just like whatever mom says.
Yeah.
And how about your other siblings? Did you look after them, take care of them, or?
Yeah, my little brother especially.
Yeah. So how long you been playing soccer?
I played like when I was 7.
Like 7?
But I quit.
You quit?
Yeah, because like...
He didn't like to run.
Yeah, I like to run.
What other sports you play?
I played basketball, a little bit of flag football.
Flag football? You good at basketball? I saw you with the picture with the little Clipper t-shirt on. What was that about?
I stopped playing.
You stopped playing sports? So you don't play sports no more?
I don't play basketball.
No basketball?
Or flag football anymore.
Just soccer now?
Yeah.
So you came back to soccer?
Yeah.
Instruments?
Yeah. Electric bass.
Electric bass. All right. Lewis, you have any?
Well, for Alma, like I want to know what that conversation was like. How long did you decide, or how long did you hold on to like not telling your kids? Because I can imagine like my mom is Mexican, so we're Hispanic, so we don't really talk. Our parents, like I know that she goes to the doctor, but she doesn't really tell me what's going on. And sometimes I wonder, so. Your kids, they knew you were coming in and out of the hospital. When did you finally tell them? Like, or how long after you had known did you tell them that?
I think within the week of the diagnosis, I sat down and I told them. I didn't really tell them to the extent, oh, mom's going to die. But I did tell them that it was very delicate, that I was very sick. And they would see that mom wouldn't get out of bed for days. So they got to see with their own eyes what mom was going through.
And then you mentioned your family doesn't really understand it. Your kids knew more. I take that more as like they didn't really know much about it, so they didn't know what was wrong, and that's why they couldn't understand. Or
I feel like they don't know much about it, and to this day, I don't feel like they really want to know much about it. I guess the fear of
there's a fear, of course.
There's a fear of what could possibly happen to me, and that I think that fear kicks in on my down days when they see that I can't get up.
I mean, we live in denial pretty much most of the time anyway, right? So
I can imagine why you wouldn't want to go and dive deep and just actually figure out what's going on. So, your kids, like when you see your son playing soccer, is that like on those days? Do you have days where like suddenly you're out, you're doing something, and it just how does it affect your day to day? Like, do you get do you get like flare ups or things like that?
Oh yeah, I get flare ups. Okay, so there's been times where he has tournaments and I feel like I can't do it anymore. I feel like I need to. Sometimes I'll go to the car and take a nap if I have to. But yeah, there's days that I feel like I can't anymore. But there's the option of quitting is not there.
Right, you have to, but you do like remove yourself from the sideline, go to your car.
I'll remove myself from the sun because the sun will agitate me and it'll drain me really, really quick. So I will have to go to the car if I need to, just to lay down for a little bit. Or the last time we got a hotel, so we had a hotel nearby in case I needed to leave.
But so that must be pretty hard for you, like you see your parents on the sideline one minute, and then the next minute, you kind of already know why. If like your mom's not there, I imagine you kind of, does that drive you somehow? Does that like make you, what do you feel in that moment when you first realize that your mom isn't there? Because you're trying to focus on the game, but at the same time, you have to know why, you're aware as to why your mom isn't there rooting you on.
Yeah, it's like I try not to pay attention to it, so I just keep playing and like just like putting all into the game, and like I just keep playing. You just gotta like use the game as kind of like
the coaches have told me that he's lost focus when he hasn't seen me.
I can imagine it's easy to say that I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try and put my focus on the game, but like it's got to be something else.
Yeah. So Matthew, where do you to play sports? I mean, even at 7 or whatever age, even now as a teenager, that mental toughness. So where are you getting this mental toughness to play this guitar and play soccer? Like, where is that coming from, man?
I think I get it from my mom.
Yeah?
Yeah, she never quit, so she didn't raise a quitter.
Yeah. So you're just going to push through it.
Yeah.
Do you express when you're having those thoughts or feel those emotions to your mom? Like, I'm sad that you feel this way, or like, do you express those kind of conversations, or you just hold it in?
I don't like to express myself, so I just hold it in most of the time.
Yeah. All right, cool. So before we let you get out of here, I need a few more minutes. So give me like the experience of, because your health and having to have a job. Like, I'm sure it's impacting like your whole life now. So how do you manage life today living with lupus?
I take it one day at a time because I have him in soccer. I'm also going to college, and I'm working full time. I work as a paralegal for a law firm, so it can get really stressful. But all I can do is I don't overthink things. I take it one day at a time. Just try to have a positive attitude, positive energy, and it's come a long way from me. Yeah, personally, yeah, and just making life changes.
So again, this is a conversation that's very important for our community. This is more. It's not rare. This happens a lot, and there's a lot of people out here living with lupus, as you've heard the numbers of like 1.5 million in the U.S. There's a whole community out there about lupus. I got involved because my soldier was in a car bomb in Afghanistan, and he was severely burned, and his wife had lupus, and so I looked to see what I could do for that family and support them. So I had an event, and I got in contact with Lupus LA, and they came out and did an event at one of the VFWs. And so ever since then, I've been involved since 2011. So I share my platform with other causes. If you want to be a guest on here with your cause, you got to hit us up on social media at Sports Collective Media, or my Instagram is at IMWDC. And so I'm going to let you get out of here, but your son's going to stay. We're going to do another quick segment. We got some sports talks we want to do. And then we have our guest, Antoine Sims is here, Illy's guest. So we're going to have him come up shortly. So again, Sports Collective TV. It's more than just sports. We do a lot of community outreach. Lewis, thank you, man, for helping me with the subject, man. Of course, this conversation. Man. Appreciate that.
Thank you for your support with the lupus community.
Definitely. Lupus Awareness Month is next month. You actually went to the walk, right?
I went the walk, yeah, to the Lupus LA walk. I thought I was going to die a 3-mile walk. I was like, I should have taken the mile, but I took the 3 miles. Yeah. I said, I could do this. We finished. Yeah. We did it.
So shouts out to Lupa Vita. They're going to be actually working on their sponsorship for May for part of the show as well. So again, thanks for listening in. Again, you have any questions? How do you want them to support you? Do you want to give any social media or anything like that, or just
they can find me through yours?
Yeah, just follow me Twitter, Instagram at IMWDC, and I'll pass on the information as well. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Sports Collective TV. Any questions? 323-293-3375. And make sure if you got to step away, go to morrismedialive.com and you can watch us on your smartphones. We'll be right back. Hey, I'm Sergeant First Class Ferran Dozier. I'm here at the military base, and I have the sickle cell trait. Now, why I got involved is I experienced what they call sickle cell trait exertion. And I was doing the Army physical fitness test, the 2-mile run, and when I got done, I collapsed. A lot of soldiers and athletes have been dying at football fields and running track, and the family members have no idea that they have the sickle cell trait gene or that it's a trigger. So my purpose is to mobilize the community so we can find out what's in your genes. How will life be if we could prevent another child from being born with sickle cell trait or disease? And if a child was born with the trait or disease, that the family members would have the education, awareness, and resources in every city that they lived in. So tune into our webinar series and find out. What's the count? What's the count? What's the count? What's the
count? Yes, we are back here with Sports Collective TV, and we're going to be talking a little about football, especially with the World coming up. We got to get the hype going.
Oh, absolutely, man. We got that coming up. We got the Champions League going on right now, all these great games. So we're hyped up for this, man.
Right. And then on top of that, like I mentioned earlier, LAFC Stadium, finally opened up, huge, like amazing atmosphere. I mean, through TV, you can kind of like see it, you can sense it. But it was, from what I heard on social media, amazing atmosphere that they have going on down there for soccer fans.
That's great. Do you think they'll actually take over the LA football market, basically?
I mean, the jersey, they already went on the jersey. They already went on the jersey. And what you think, Matthew? What do you think? Galaxy or LAFC? Well, if you had to pick one of the teams, like, who would you follow?
Galaxy.
The Galaxy, all right. See,
okay. Why though?
Zlatan.
Yeah. So you get these big name players, and that just makes the difference, man.
Beckham. For me, it was Beckham. I was having this conversation with Oscar. I like the jersey, the black and the gold. It's nice, it's sleek, dope stadium, but Galaxy had Beckham, that's what really got me into the Galaxy at first. Now you have Zlatan, taking a little bit of shine from the LAFC.
But it doesn't bother you that they play in Carson? You're rooting for a team, you got to leave LA to go watch them.
LA, that is LA, man. Come on, man.
Come on, Galaxy of Carson over here.
Chargers. When the Lakers play in Inglewood in the Forum, you had to leave LA. Come on, get out of here. The Giants play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So do the Jets, and they're both called New York teams.
Okay, so
the Angels play in Anaheim and Los Angeles. Come on, man. Come on, that's petty.
We're already
compared to like LAFC, who has their stadium in the heart of Los Angeles, right there by downtown, by MLK and Figueroa.
It's all politics, bro. It's all politics. Why was that stadium never built?
I don't know.
The right owners had to come along. That's why. All politics.
And speaking about the big name players that like football teams out here really need to gain that attention just generally from the crowd and from the media and everything, I think LAFC is in a good position now to get a marquee big name player as well. They seemingly have like the financial space and everything to go ahead with that. The question is just what kind of big name player can come over from Europe and really take over here.
Well, they do. I mean, they have Carlos Vela.
Right.
Who right now, I mean, if you take Zlatan's 37 years old, Zlatan is still amazing, but he's 37 years old.
Right.
Carlos Vela is in his late 20s. He's right now in the prime of his career. They have Diego Rossi, the Uruguayan, the winger, also in the prime of his career. So they're building it more around like, we're going to go and get these young players who are still in the prime of their career, because that's what MLS has kind of always been knocked on, because they were always kind of like just, you're going to get all these old stars that can't really cut it, you had Kaká, but like, was he really Kaká? Because he was already garbage when he got over.
Question. Did you know that they had
only Ka,
So
did you know one Ka.
Did you know that they had their home opener last night?
Nah.
See, and that's the problem in LA. Like, you have all this stuff going on, right? And there is a following. Like, LAFC, they're growing with crowds, but the general population didn't know that yesterday was one of their biggest, it was their home opener, right? And I caught the end of the game, and like I said earlier, it was a regalito. If you see the goalie just completely misplayed the ball. And it was at the last minute. So the whole time, if you all follow soccer, it's like it's a tie, it's a build-up of momentum. And then you think you're going to tie the game, and then your goalie off a free kick just gives it away.
Okay, so you play soccer. Yeah. A tie, you sometimes take the tie as a win, right? Because I know a lot of people who like, they look at soccer and they're like, how can you tie? Like when you're the road team and you're playing away, and the crowd is just like rocking, You'll take a tie, right? You'll take a tie. You don't want to take it. You don't want to take it, but in the 90th minute, are you going to take the tie? Or are you going to take that L?
Yeah, I'm going to take the tie.
Of course you take the tie, because you're in a point-based system. Like, yeah, in a playoff, you don't want to tie, but
one point is better than zero.
There's 30 games to go. You're on the road. They're playing their home opener. And you just don't want to let that one little slip up be the thing that causes you the point.
Or a good example is like if you're like the best team in the league and you're facing the worst team and they're at home and they get a tie in your house, like to that last place team, that's a win. We came into your house and we tied you. We didn't get slaughtered on. Like, that is a win,
And to you, that's a loss. You take that.
As the best team, you're like, how do I not beat the worst team?
So the tie in soccer can mean three very different things. Actually, that's the one thing I love about soccer. Is that you take a tie and it's like, there's nobody won. Really, nobody won? If one team is supposed to win and the other team is like not supposed to even be in the conversation, what happens in basketball, you get blown out. You're down by 50 points, so that's not really,
But Matthew, what do you think about the soccer culture here in LA?
I like it a lot. It's very popular here.
So do you mean like professionally, or like just like within like
kids who play?
Yeah, like kids who play, like AYSO. There's a lot of kids that play there. A lot of talent.
Okay, I mean AYSO is one of like the biggest programs nationwide. The thing that I usually thought that was going to be a really good thing. Going forward, you can find a lot of talent there. But in our country, the U.S. isn't in the World Cup, and it's because honestly, like it is a kind of we have way too many white people playing on the national soccer team.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, all the best players are Hispanics, and like we have so many white players, and it's because they go to colleges and they look at colleges and look at the college soccer team, and it's like
which is
where the
why
best
the
players
media
play,
and the attention
or
and
the pay to
spotlight
play
plays such a
system
big
where you
role.
have to pay to go to a soccer academy where all the scouts are looking. It's like, dude, really? Go down to like a South Central soccer game, like in a local league,
Right.
Or look at the 17, 18-year-old kids there. Give them a shot, but
or in the parks and stuff like that, where you just have people that might not have time to go to these leagues and stuff because they don't have the money or the support and stuff, and so you lose all these people in the cracks. Great example, Brazil. Brazil doesn't go; they go to the slums to get their best players, right? Why? Because that's where you see the passion, right?
Best player. Neymar,
That's where they're kicking the ball all day
You
long.
say it's shoeless, Pele, also the same thing, and our players are like scholarship players,
Right.
They've been in training academies.
We lose them to other countries. Like we lost 2-3 players
to Mexico,
right? But let's talk about Champions League. So have you been following it?
Nope.
Why? Barcelona got out? I heard he's the Messi fan. He's a Messi.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
why
That
is
was
that?
tough.
Why Messi?
He's like arguably the best player.
Now we had an interesting conversation about Messi.
Why
the other day.
Messi though? What about him? What about him do you like? What?
I like him a lot because a lot of people doubted him. He said he's too short, but he proved everybody wrong.
Now this is my theory: Steph Curry or LeBron James. Who do you like? Steph Curry or LeBron James? Say Steph Curry.
Kobe.
That's a good answer.
I like that answer. But like the two best players right now, people say it's either Steph Curry or it's LeBron James. Messi is Steph Curry and Ronaldo is LeBron James. Right? Right? In soccer? Why? Because you like LeBron.
I don't like either of them.
You don't like either of them. All right. So what about Messi? To me, he's not strong enough. He gets pushed around. What is the retort to that?
He's not strong enough.
He's not strong enough. So what does he do? What?
He gets around people.
Yeah.
It's crazy how your answer came out of his mouth. Like, that's dope how you made that happen. That is so dope how you made that happen.
We like mine.
Like you just said and it came out of his. Never seen that like long-term ventriloquism over here.
No, see, my thing has always been that I don't think Messi long-term, he wouldn't make it in a league like Germany or Premier where it's very physical.
About that, yeah.
He's stayed in a very finesse league like Spanish league. Like you go out to England, the referees are different. They allow more contact, and I just feel like his body wouldn't get through a whole season playing in a league like that. And so my criticism has always been he's been in one team. Someone like Ronaldo has won in some of the best leagues in the world. So.
And we have seen him struggle in international competitions as well when they go.
It gets more intense, yeah.
What penalty kick, right? Penalty kick, Copa America on the line
versus Chile.
Chile for the win,
and then he went blonde.
3-2-1. What happened?
And then he went blonde
over the bar.
And then he went blonde
over the bar, and then he went blonde. Yeah,
right. Try to change it up a bit.
Lost himself a little bit.
But tomorrow it's the second leg for Real Madrid versus Bayern. Who do you got?
Bayern.
Of course.
Wow. Of course he's a Barca fan.
Yeah. Of course. So.
He wants to see that downfall. Like was it easy losing to Roma a couple weeks ago?
Nah.
That was that's where you would have just taken a tie, huh?
Yeah.
That's it. See, there you go. You would have happily taken that tie, gone to Roma, took the tie, and just be like, "We'll get out of here. We'll go advance to the next stage."
Right. All right, then.
All right. Looks like we're about to head out, but we got much more coming here on Sports Collective TV.
But tomorrow we're going to be in Tom's Urban. We're going to be following La Peña Madrista right there, which is the official bar here in LA. So definitely check us out on our social media. We're going to be going live to watch the game Bayern versus Real Madrid.
And don't forget, you can give us a call anytime at 323-293-3375. And shout out to the young boys from Bern for winning the Swiss Cup in soccer. So, I had to give a shout out to back home real quick. Hey, Swiss League. Yeah, there we go, All right.
Oh, man.
We'll be back soon.
Are you having sickle sex?
Sickle sex?
Yeah, sickle sex. You won't know unless you've been tested.
Really? You can really get sickle cell from having sex?
No, but your baby can. If you carry the sickle cell trait, you could possibly have a baby with the sickle cell disease. Find out more today and get tested. This message brought to you by SCD Soldier Network.
Many families are impacted by sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait because they are just not aware of the impact of the disease that affects people of color and diverse backgrounds. Join us, be in service with others as we raise awareness on how to identify issues and resources for direct treatment for sickle cell trait. Join us as we support and empower families and individuals with education and information addressing these issues related to sickle cell disorder. Come out and get educated. Visit us online and learn more, wdconsct.org. Sponsorship opportunities are available.
Welcome back to Sports Collective TV. Again, we want to thank you for listening in. I hope you've enjoyed the show so far. Again, we talk about a lot of things. You know, sports is not just about being on the field, but it's all the behind the scenes. It's all about connecting family, music, entertainment. That's what we bring to you, Sports Collective TV. So make sure you follow us, Twitter, Instagram. I'm at IMWDC, Sports Collective Media, at Sports Collective Media on Instagram, Facebook as well. And make sure you catch us for the LABC play-by-play. Shouts out to Fredo. He's not here today. But we got Tuesday coming up tomorrow, the play-by-play LABC North. No, that's I'm gonna take it back. Tomorrow we're in the South Division. Tomorrow
downtown,
and then
baby.
Thursday we're in the North Division on Thursday. So just follow us, Sports Collective Media Instagram.
Man,
what's up, man?
All right, before I introduce my partner right here, my new partner, y'all gonna see a lot of him. My little partner right here, you know what I'm saying? My little big partner, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna have me right. I'm telling you, he's gonna have me right. But before I do that, man,
where you going?
Shouts out to our, you know,
here we go.
Our other fellas that were on earlier. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's like the barbecue on the front porch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They always create some other shit. Like, I ain't never heard a tie meaning anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? In sports, you either win or you lose. Yeah. You know, they don't even do a tie in the Olympics.
But they say win, lose, or draw.
In the NFL,
do they do a tie in the Special Olympics?
Win, lose, or draw. You ever heard that saying?
That's that old constitutional shit. But then the other part I got out of their little segment is they always compare it to basketball players. Yeah. Like, I always come back to who you got? You got Jordan. He killed it with the Kobe move. Kobe. That's some other. That's some other. Like some real other.
Like legendary other.
But nah, man, real great segment. That's what makes us unique here, is that we be able to bring things that's relative to the community, relative to the Hispanic community, relative to the Swedish.
Yeah, you've been there.
I just wear you. I just wear you. I just wear you. You know what I'm saying? You all over me.
Yeah. And where else can you walk in LA and just jump on the air?
Yeah,
right here.
Right. So we're gonna welcome my guy Antoine. He's new arrival into the group. You know what I'm saying? And we do everything organically. There ain't nothing written down. So if you watching and you listening, you got to understand this is true talent happening right here on a Monday at 5 to 6 o'clock, and we're gonna increase that to another half an hour once we get 2 more sponsors. So if you're looking at us and you think you can get some exposure, come on. Morris Media Studios can make it happen for you all day long.
Whatever.
But I'm gonna throw. You already came to the wrong address, so I'm gonna throw it at him because I know he's talented. See, he buff too. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? I got to. And he from Atlanta. You know them cats down there. They eat different food.
ATL,
you know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm on drive-through food. He on grandma cooking. You know what I'm saying? You know how it go. But no, welcome Antoine. You know what I'm saying? Let the world know that the young man does all sorts of things, and I'm gonna let him kind of give me his little bio.
Oh yeah, I got some questions. Oh yeah, I got questions.
Because I'm just wondering when I'm gonna have to go to Pasadena and hit the gym and get my routine together. So,
well, first of all, thank you guys for having me here. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And like you mentioned, that first segment was awesome. Lupus awareness is something that's very important. All autoimmune diseases are very important, and there are ways to actually reduce inflammation and heal. So, everyone who listened to the program, I do hope that you reach out and get some support and just kind of do some more research to figure out how you can reverse your condition.
Yes.
So, guys, thanks for having me here. Yes, my name is Antoine Sims. I'm a plant-based vegan athlete. So I like to use the word plant-rich.
Oh,
so
okay.
Plant-based kind of gets...
Hold on, stop. You started off all wrong. So this is what we do since we've been Sports Live.
He's going to guide you. He's going to guide you through that.
So you originally are from...
Cleveland.
Right.
That Atlanta deal, I used to live in Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. This is why we want to get the story. Exactly. This is we always go back like 8 tracks so that we get it all right. Like when there was, when there was no seatbelt law.
Where the original Ohio players
when there was no seatbelt law. We want to go back when there was no seatbelt law.
Where the streets are brick.
No streets. Yeah. Dirt.
So no, because you're an athlete, you're a student athlete. I mean, as far as what our show does, you're a vegan trainer, you're a bodybuilder, you won goals and accolades, you have a product. You that dude, you know what I'm saying? And we want to see if there's a way to give you a segment on this show to where every week you're talking about all these different fascinating things that you got going on. So
I appreciate that.
Because we kind of real organic in a sense, we like to go back to like, how did you get started? I mean, I know your story when your dad and he brought you them weights, and we want to. That's Mr. Mental Health. Mental. Where's your mental? How did you get that?
Get that mindset.
Because now you're in the mode of you have all these accolades and things that's going on, but where did all that originate from?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just going to give a backdrop first and then just get into the details, which is all good. Either
that's when you get your own show. You can do all that. I love that. I'm glad you're already prepared.
I'm already looking forward, man. I'm looking forward. So, I don't know. I started lifting weights in about 7th grade. Yeah, my dad, he brought some weights home one day. The DP 1000 set, and this was in 5th grade, I think it was.
Wow!
And he brought it into the garage. He took it to the garage, and my dad was a boxer. He boxed in the military, and he was dope. As a matter of fact, his nickname is Rocky, and they still call him Rocky to this day in the hood in Cleveland. They still call him, "Hey, Rocky, what's up, man?" So he
knocked a few folks out.
Yes, he's had his share of victories.
Let him talk.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So anyway, so he brought the set home, and I was working out at the same time I was playing football.
Okay.
So I started playing football at a young age. I saw the weights. I started getting these charts where they would show you how to work out and use certain exercises for certain muscle groups. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated by those charts. But even before then, I used to watch He-Man. So even before I got those charts, I used to watch He-Man, and I always liked the physique.
He was swole up, too.
Hey, he was swole. Everybody was. The Skeletor, even the little lion thing that he rode on. I can't even remember the name of it.
He was buff, too. Yeah.
He was buff. Everybody was on swole.
And I was dealing with the Flintstones.
That's a different...
We wasn't eating.
That's why he's here.
They all have bellies.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Those are different abs. Let's go abs. So by the time I started looking at those charts, it reminded me of He-Man. I'm thinking, man, I guess somebody can really look like this if you follow what these instructions are on this chart.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, man, I was just really just fascinated by weight training and muscles and anatomy pretty much. Mm-hmm. And so, again, that was in about 5th grade or so. And I've played football all the way up until about, semi-pro. I went from 5th grade football all the way up to semi-pro. So the whole time, of course, I'm working out. But training was a little bit different. Training, meaning weight training, was always different than training for a sport-specific training. Yeah. So what ended up happening as far as bodybuilding itself is it was a guy in the neighborhood where I lived.
Because you became a bodybuilder.
Well, I did become a bodybuilder. It was interesting because it was a transition.
Swell up like a cobra, boy. Like, what?
That's right. But, the thing is, it's hard to be a body. Well, it's a challenge to be a bodybuilder and an athlete because it's two different training styles, right? And it's two different body types.
Right.
But what was fascinating, again, for me was that whole He-Man look. Mm-hmm. So God had already blessed me with a natural athletic ability where I was successful playing football. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do something else that was a little bit more challenging. And that's when I got into bodybuilding, because a guy in our neighborhood, he used to have these guys, like every Saturday night or every other Saturday night, whatever it was Saturday nights for sure. I would see these dudes outside with these big trophies. And I'm thinking, man, what are these guys doing? Yeah. So I went and asked the guy's mother, hey, what's going on? These big dudes with these trophies. She's like, yeah, my son, he's a trainer. And he trains these guys and they work out with him and this and that. She said, you should talk to him. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I talked to him and he was like, okay, let me see your abs. So he wanted me to pull my shirt up. He said, okay, turn to the side. Let me see your legs, your quads. It's like, yeah. He said, okay, I tell you what, if you tell people that I trained you for free, that's not what he said. He said, if you tell people that I trained you, and if you do a show, I will train you for free. Wow. So that was the condition. I had to tell people that he trained me, and I had to do a bodybuilding show. Okay. I was in. So he was training me for free. Now, little did I know, those big dudes that I saw, because I didn't know at the time, I wasn't really into the bodybuilding culture. Mm-hmm. Those dudes were guys he was training for the Mr. Olympia. That's like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. That's the highest competition you can compete in.
Wasn't that Lou Ferrigno and all those type of dudes?
Well, during that time,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that long. Like Arnold.
I'll be back.
Right. Yeah, he's out here too.
Remember, he's from Sweden. They get whatever they put on TV, no matter how old it is. Just watch that. It's cold over here. Just watch
20 years ago.
All right, finish.
Okay, so yeah, Arnold was my partner. Yeah, my workout partner, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wasn't. So anyway, it was after that. So Mike Quinn, still old school. So a guy named Mike Quinn, he was one of the guys in the group. And so not that I was lifting the weight that they were lifting, but I was part of that rotation. So I learned a lot from the old school bodybuilders and that trainer, how to lift, how to work out, how to compete and become a bodybuilder. So I guess fast forward, I did do a show.
Okay.
It's the first show I did under the training of this personal trainer. His name is Mike Greenspan. And I won. I won my category. I won my class.
No kidding.
And so then I figured out the reason he wanted me to tell people he trained me is because he already saw when he told me to lift up my shirt and show my...
he saw the cheese graters.
I was already, prepared to do well. And he kind of saw that.
Yeah.
So I think he wanted to just attract more people and more clients to him, saying, asking me to tell people that he trained me. And we didn't even train that long. It was marketing.
When did you start, or when did you become a vegan, basically? When was that transitioned into that?
Okay, so now...
Ain't that like something new? They do that now?
What's that? That's old school.
Every week they're changing them.
Yeah, it's like a new vegan, new organic something. How you even know that stuff is safe? See, I'm speaking to the people that's like me. Like there's folks out there. I know, but I want them folk out there to be like, hey, Burger King is cool. You know what I'm saying? With a big old soda. Get a big soda. Big soda. 2 straws.
For $1.
Let
the people know what they need to know, man.
Yeah, so it makes it convenient. We can get that food for $1. So to answer your question, I became so my campaign and platform is plant based.
Right.
Although I do fall under the umbrella of being vegan because that's just the way I eat. But I didn't become vegan for moral issues or ethical issues, I should say, for animal rights issues. However, now that I am under that umbrella, I understand why people become vegan for those reasons.
Yeah.
For me, I became plant-based. And I became plant-based about 6 years ago now. This is my 6th year. And the reason is because I felt that my digestive system was acting kind of funny, so I was really in tune with what was going on when I ate food. And so my body would feel kind of warm, and it felt like things just weren't being digested well enough. Well, it was the exact same time where my best friend Tammy was like, yo, I'm going to watch this movie called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. It's on Netflix. And I'm going to start juicing again. I'm going to start getting healthy again. I said, okay. She said she wanted me to watch it with her. Cool. I watched that. Man, one thing led to the other. So after you watch a show, of course, on Netflix, it'll say, hey, since you watched that show, you might like this show, right?
Yeah, I don't eat hot dogs no more. I seen how they do them.
Well, if you think hot dogs, if you feel that way about hot dogs, you see everything else.
I ain't trying to.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't want to look at the videos, which is fine.
People don't want to accept
I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink coffee. I'm not at Starbucks, but I will go through the drive-through. That's probably.
I got some questions. Just to recap. For your conversation. So, student athlete exercising.
Yes.
Sickle cell trait is very important for student athletes. Were you aware of sickle cell trait during your sports episodes?
Aware of it, yes.
Yeah.
Had I done any research? No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know why I knew about it? Again, aware.
Right.
Knew very little about it, except one of the dudes on Mobb Deep had sickle cell.
Yeah, he passed away.
Who I interviewed
and that's
the
common thing, right? It's always somebody, like we have a lot of student athletes or coaches, and they're like, well, yeah, we knew this guy, and it's always that small few, that has that scenario.
But he choked on an egg, though, but yeah.
That's not true.
You don't think? Okay.
That's just what the paper says.
All right.
But you CrossFit, so I saw CrossFit in there. So, a lot of people, are out to get fit. That's the thing to do right now. For the last few years, people want to get fit. They're looking at their diet from those foods, right, to your food.
Cali Sportsman drive-through.
Yeah, from
what you need for $1.
Can I finish?
Okay, go ahead.
From that food to your food, but there's a space in between where detoxing is important and getting your organs ready, prepared for that type of eating. Like, what do you tell people how to make that transition gradually, or some people just go drastically because. Right. Again, being CrossFit, I know people have rhabdomyolysis from overexerting themselves because of chemicals in their body that they don't get rid of first. So what do you have to say about that?
Hold on before you answer that question.
How you going to stop my question, man?
It's a lot of water and nuts. That's how you get everything out.
Man. Let him finish. We got like 6 minutes.
Man, I forgot the question. Can you ask it again? I'm kidding. I got it.
Yeah, because I got it.
Well, the thing is with CrossFit, and so CrossFit, they're very paleo heavy. So a lot of meats, a lot of fats and that kind of thing, and very little carbs and whatnot, and nuts even. But that's not what I do. That's not what I recommend. What I've done as a plant-based athlete is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some grains and beans. That's pretty much my MO as it relates to my nutrition and what's helped me with CrossFit. Now, people who want to transition, you mentioned detox. I wouldn't necessarily recommend detox unless there's some kind of chronic illness that you're dealing with. You know, as we mentioned earlier, lupus or any other autoimmune
for the medications,
disease right? Well, and for inflammation, because really, when you look at it, the baseline, the baseline of every illness, sickness, and disease is inflammation and acidosis. So acidosis or acidity actually creates inflammation, right? And then inflammation translates to other complications in our body.
Definitely,
and so that's what when you can bring down the inflammation, you're healthier, you feel better.
Alkaline, you alkaline water, drinks, foods.
Right. So it's I had this conversation.
So let me ask you this though: you got to pack a lunch when you leave the house. I mean, how does that work? I mean, I'm one of them. Remember, I ain't got quite there yet.
It's fine.
He tried to get to Pasadena.
And just generally, how do you feel about nutrition out here in California versus back home in Ohio?
Okay, so I'm going to see if I can handle all three.
Yeah. I got 3 questions.
Yeah. So detox. Coming from that perspective is if you have a chronic illness, some kind of chronic issue that you're dealing with, I think detox is wonderful. I think where people mess up is how they transition from detox back to eating, and I put this in quotes, regular foods. Because they don't really some people don't get educated enough where they know what to eat when they come off the detox, and then they're going right back, and they go right back to where they came from as far as inflammation, or they're even worse, because they haven't been trained or taught how to actually transition off of detox back to eating regular foods. When I say regular foods, I mean plant-based foods.
Right.
Now, your question as far as people like you, do I pack a lunch? Well, yeah, sometimes. like Laura bars. I really like Laura bars.
See? Hey,
they're
stop
healthy.
at Whole Foods, right?
Yeah, you can get them at Whole Foods. You can get them at grocery outlet.
That was a plug. Sorry about that.
Thank you. You're just plugging everybody today.
Well, you can get the Laura bars. You can get something that's basically a whole food based kind of a bar, or you can take, as you mentioned, nuts, that kind of thing, like almonds or walnuts, or for guys, pumpkin seeds are really good. You know, you can just pack little things like that.
Right.
Now, as far as the nutrition out here, there are a lot of
that's
places.
pretty good. You remembered all that.
Yeah.
I got to start eating the right food. Then I might remember most stuff.
Have mental clarity.
Oh,
so basically, a lot of places are becoming more aware of this. I don't want to call it a movement. This lifestyle. Okay. This vegan lifestyle.
Yeah.
And a lot of restaurants are more open to offering vegan options.
It's becoming hip almost, right?
It is becoming hip and trendy, and that's where I don't want people to get lost in that.
Right, definitely.
I tell people, know your why. Yeah. Know why you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, don't do it just because. Know your why.
Because we get stimulated with words, and the last word I want to say is organic.
Okay.
Isn't that like it's such a vague scenario?
It is vague. To me,
it's so vague in food scenario. I mean, come on.
Well, there's actually a standard when it comes to organic and what organic means and what the standards are that these farmers need to meet in order to label their foods organic.
Right.
So the thing about it is all of the research that has been done with food and health and healing, that food hasn't been organic foods. It's been conventional foods. So do you have to get organic? No, you don't, especially if you're in a situation or in an area
or a
where it's hard to get to.
Yeah.
But if you can, yes, because studies have shown that you do get more nutrition in organic foods.
So frozen vegetables or canned vegetables?
As far as vegetables, frozen. Anything that's frozen, it's from what I understand anyway. Okay. As soon as it's harvested, it's immediately frozen, so it retains all the nutrients.
Right. I have
However,
actually
just
heard.
Real quick, I just want to say this real quick.
Yeah.
Some vegetables are good canned, like asparagus.
Oh, really?
Asparagus is an option, yes.
Okay.
Corn, but with corn you got to be careful because of the GMOs. So
Yeah,
there's a difference between organic and GMOs. So,
exactly.
I mean, there's a can of worms here.
You're gonna talk about that next time because that's also important as well.
Now you see why this cat can have his little. You know what I'm saying? Okay, all right.
Because you need to get to the gym.
Oh no, I was just saying, like it can even be or have more nutritional value still in it when it's frozen than when it's on like the shelf as well, just because it can sit out there for longer. So frozen veggies,
but preservatives.
All right. This gonna tell it all. This gonna tell it all.
Right.
Who's your favorite basketball team?
Team?
Yes.
I don't have one.
You can't be on the show. Football.
I don't have one.
Somebody follow a player. Let's talk player. Is there a player?
Okay, you know who somebody? My boy just, and I hate that I'm embarrassed to say this, but my boy just put me on Shaquan Barkley.
Shaq's son?
Nobody knows who he is? Is it?
By the Giants.
Huh? Yeah, the Giants.
The Fanatics know. They're supposed to know. They're supposed to know.
Yeah,
he's a new recruit.
Yeah. See, I lost everybody up here. See, y'all talking about me.
All right. Well, hey, you know,
he's already holding his hands up. Get out of here.
He was the biggest deal.
He was 29 in the pick. Let's keep it pushing.
No, he was number 2.
Okay,
he was number 2.
We're trying to bring it back, though. Bring it back.
All right, we got 60 seconds.
Okay, tell me.
What do you want people to know? What you're bringing to the table as far as your platform, like, in 15 seconds, what would you say?
Okay, just know what you're doing, know what kind of food you're eating. I would definitely recommend plant-based foods because it's been shown to help reverse disease, chronic diseases, and to help you feel better. And that's it. That's it.
And I'm going to be the poster boy, so.
Here we go.
We're going to work on Ilya next.
For sure.
My next plant-based guy.
Hey, we want to thank you.
Thank you guys. I really
for coming
appreciate
and
you guys
hanging out
for
with us,
having me.
and look forward to having you back to
the
show, Ben, because all that conversation is very important.
Okay.
We definitely need to eat right. I think that's the start. So, again, Sports Collective TV, we talk about sports, all the lifestyles connected. It's a lifestyle. Even sports is a lifestyle. So there's so much connected to it. We bring it here to you, Sports Collective Media, Sports Collective TV, right here on mooresmedialive.com. Mondays, 5 o'clock, Twitter, Instagram, Sports Collective Media. And I'll be back next week.
I'll be here to act the fool.
Yeah, as always. Thanks for tuning in. Collective Media. Be back next week.
I'll be here to act the fool.
As always.